the internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winfred Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Jamaica, make we do the right thing. Make we live good today for a better tomorrow. Talk it out, don't fight it out. The time by the Ministry of National Security is
6:30.
Calm has returned to Spanish Town in St. Catherine after the disturbance occasioned by the killing by the police of the reputed leader of the One Order gang, McNeil Loban, aka Thickman. We'll get a first-hand report from our reporter Trisha Gay Kelly, who visited the old capital again today to test the temperature and to see if commerce and regular activity were returning to normal. I'll also speak with Dr. Damian King, the Executive Director of Capri, talking about the latest labor force numbers and if it means more than just the report, the eye-catching report, that the unemployment rate has dropped to a new record low of 3.5%. Lead Story, the Friday edition, starts now. All right, so good evening. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. So let's get right into it because Spanish Town was the table topic right throughout the point from Wednesday morning when the police went there. Hilaires Le Pen, Taws Meadows, right on the outskirts of the town, just on the outskirts before you reach the roundabout, before you go down to Old Harbour Road. If you travel in a westerly direction, if you go north, you're going towards Angels, up towards Linstead. So that was where the activity was on Wednesday morning. Residents clashing with the police who went there to arrest a man who they say was wanted in connection with 4 murders and a range of other crimes, McNeil Loban, a.k.a. Thickman, or Daddy Badness, the reputed leader of the One Order gang. The police were met with strong resistance. They had to retreat. Shots were fired at them, and what they did was to set up a dragnet that Loban drove into at about 10 p.m. on Wednesday night. And the police say a shootout ensued, and he was cut down at 6 miles in St. Andrew. Now, that sparked of protests in Spanish Town. Several roads were blocked, public installations attacked, private businesses attacked, the courts building firebombed, the courthouse in Spanish Town. People had to abandon their business at the courthouse, judges running for cover and the attorneys as well, advisors flying left, right and center about avoiding Spanish Town. That was the situation on Thursday. CVM TV traveled to Spanish Town to test the waters, and Trisha Gay Kelly was a guest on the show last evening talking about the tension that she felt while on the ground. She returns on this Friday to give a follow-up. Trish, good evening. Welcome to Lead Story.
Good evening, George. Thanks for having me again.
Excellent. So the viewers are looking to hear what you will tell them about your first-hand visit to Spanish Town today.
So today was pretty much the opposite of what we saw yesterday. So it's not, I wouldn't say it's tense anymore. It's pretty much business as usual now. So more buses, more vehicles. JUTC is back in the park. The market is full, actually. Oh. Yes, banks open. The only exception that's there is schools. So we went to a few schools in the town and around the town, and most of them, if not all, were closed. The only personnel there were security guards for the most part. So principals and the staff, teachers, students, of course, at home. So they resume on Monday. But everything else is pretty much business as usual. You wouldn't know that something else happened before. And
it's instructive that you said what you saw was markedly different from what you saw on Wednesday. But how about what you felt?
I didn't feel threatened today. I did not feel a sense of fear. I was pretty much just going about my business, feeling like I was doing a regular assignment, like just going to Spanish Town to cover something. Yeah, because everybody felt like it was a regular day and everybody was smiling again, like nothing happened. It's a little bit scary when you think about it, because it gives you the feeling that you move from such a tense situation and come to calm. It's a little bit scary when you think about how a town can do that.
And perhaps, Trisha, it's a function of the fact that Spanish Town is volatile by nature, and many of the people, including the vendors, the store owners, and even the transport providers, would have been in this situation before. So it's almost as if momentary disruption, back to normalcy very soon after.
Yes, correct, because we spoke to a few vendors and shopkeepers who explained to us that even yesterday they were there, even though things happen, you know, they may shut up the shop, but they are inside. And they explained that even though they've come today, they may go home early, but they're just watching it. So it's basically like they're saying, we can't stop our operations because of what is happening. We get used to it. So it's pretty much life for them.
In the footage that accompanied your report on Thursday, we saw the police walking in groups, of course, and stopping random persons and searching them. There was a shot that you chose where there was an elderly man walking with his knapsack, and he was called back by the police who went through it. Did you see people being stopped and searched on today as they were on Thursday?
No, we didn't. What we saw today from the police was them just patrolling the area. So not searching anyone, not as tense as yesterday, not many officers as yesterday, but just patrolling to ensure safety, to monitor the area. And we also went to Taws Meadows.
Yes,
and
I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, we didn't see many police officers there as well. Actually, when we first went into the community, there were no police officers, but on our way back, we saw one van with a few officers, and it seemed like they were just monitoring to check if everything is okay. So that was pretty much it for Spanish Town itself.
And lastly, did you manage to speak to any member of the constabulary to get a sense from them if there may have been things happening that you weren't privy to on your visit?
No, not today, because Acting ACP Phillips would have told us yesterday that they have control of the situation, and if anything changes, they would let us know. So we are trusting in them, and I believe the MPs also and the people who would have been there today are also trusting in that. Speaking
of MPs, did you see the Member of Parliament for Central St. Catherine, Olivia Babsy-Grange, whose constituency was at the heart of the kerfuffle on Wednesday?
No. And we would expect to see her in her constituency, but there was no one there when we passed through today.
Excellent. Thank you for the report, Tricia. And 2 days in a row, you need to come more often.
I'll try.
You'll try. All right. Very well.
Thank you.
All right. Good. All right. We take the break here on Lead Story. When we come back, the numbers from the latest labor force survey published by Statin. What do they really say about the state of the economy and the appetite for jobs within the working population in Jamaica?
Truth is, HIV affects everyone. Truth is, avoiding care leads to a weaker immune system. That means you could get really sick. The truth is, the hardest pill to swallow isn't the medication. It's the problems that follow when you don't take them. Let's get through this together. Remain in care. You can live life to the fullest with HIV. And that's the truth. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who go and believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
The data for the latest labor force survey published by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica was collected late last year, and it presents a picture of an economy that is in balance. Perhaps equilibrium is the word I should use, with record low unemployment of 3.5%. But in case you missed it, what does the report say in totality, and what are some of the key numbers? Have a look.
The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin has unveiled the findings of its October 2024 labor force survey, shedding light on the state of employment, unemployment and labor participation across the island. The release, the fourth since a major revision to the survey methodology in January 2024, offers some fresh insights into Jamaica's labor market dynamics. Jamaica's total labor force in October 2024 stood at 1,468,300 individuals, with men making up a larger share, 53.7%, compared to women, 46.3%. The overall participation rate was 68.1%, but significant gender disparities persisted. Men had a higher participation rate of 74.5%, while only 61.9% of women were active in the labor force. Of the 1,417,000 employed persons, men again led with 54.2% of the workforce. However, women outnumbered men in key occupational groups. Services and sales workers was the largest occupational category, employing 343,400 individuals, with women representing nearly two-thirds of this group. Other major groups included skilled agricultural, forestry and fishery workers, 201,400, and elementary occupations, 176,200. Among industry groups, wholesale and retail trade, repair of motor vehicles and motorcycles was the top employer, engaging 265,600 individuals, of whom 54.5% were women. The unemployment rate was 3.5%, with notable gender differences. Women faced a higher rate, 4.5%, compared to men, 2.6%. Youth aged 15 to 24 bore the brunt of unemployment, with a rate of 11%. Female youth fared worse, with an unemployment rate of 13.7% compared to 8.9% for males. A total of 687,500 individuals were outside the labor force in October 2024, with women comprising 60.8% of this group. Young people aged 15 to 24 represented 42.8% of those not participating, highlighting challenges in engaging this demographic. Additionally, 1 in 5 youths, 22.2%, was neither employed, enrolled in education, nor participating in training programs. The Holness administration has been trumpeting its achievement of the lowest unemployment rate in the country's history. However, there still remain concerns surrounding the skill set of the labor. These metrics underscore the complexity of employment challenges, including underemployment and the untapped potential of individuals outside the traditional labor force. So, are these numbers a sign of stability and health of the Jamaican labor force? We discuss on Lead Story.
Thank you very much, Tricia Gay Kelly. She's everywhere, isn't she? Dr. Damien King, Executive Director of Capri, joins me to look at the numbers. Good evening, Damien.
Good evening, George.
Good. Now, I'm thankful that I was a journalist, Damien, at the time and learning the craft. Still, I'm learning it. When youth unemployment, was an example, was 34%. And whenever the labor force numbers came out, the argument was as if the sky was going to fall in at any minute because the unemployment numbers were so bad. These days, the publication of these numbers by Statin hardly gets a mention. Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, we have noticed in the work that we do at Capri and just in observing the public discourse that people are far more likely to be arrested and discuss bad news than they do with good news. Good news tend to wash over them more easily. So I think that is part of the reason. And it may have to do with just human nature, that bad news creates fears and therefore gets people's attention in a way that good news does not.
And I can hear some of the keyboard warriors who you engage with on Twitter with your periodic posts, Damien, saying, well, Dr. King, what is good about these numbers? Explain the good in these numbers for me. And I'll ask those questions on their behalf.
Okay, so there is good in these numbers and there is caution and limits in these numbers. The good is that the low unemployment rate of 3.5% represents a robust improvement in the labor market. And I mean that to say that it is not an artificial creation or a veneer on bad news. It's not because people are leaving the labor force and the source of low unemployment is because people are no longer in the labor force. You quoted the participation rate in your report, and the participation rate has gone up. That means that fewer persons are actually outside the labor force. So we not only have a higher rate of employment, but we have a higher rate of employment on a larger labor force. Secondly, even though commentators like to ridicule the definition of employment as not requiring people to be working many hours per week and it not being necessarily proper employment in terms of being, decent jobs, accompanying the low unemployment rate is the fact that the increase in employment over the last 7 years has come overwhelmingly from people who are working full-time. That is more than 35 hours per week. And the majority of those are working in formal sector jobs, not informally. So there's a robustness and a reality to the low unemployment rate. Further, it is corroborated by the anecdotal but widespread evidence when you speak to business people, when you speak to people who are in the business of recruiting and hiring, everybody will tell you that it has gotten difficult to hire new staff. And the labor market is more competitive now than it used to be. So there's a reality and a robustness to the unemployment numbers.
People, when they're having the debate about the state of the economy, and of course they touch on the fact of the labor force, one of the points always made is that Jamaica is a low-skilled, low-wage environment. Now, I don't know if these numbers necessarily reflect the wages, but do the numbers, just an examination of the numbers, would it bear out this argument we hear all the time that we are in a low-skilled, low-wage environment based on where most of the people are employed who have a job, according to the survey?
The response to that is that if the persons who were unemployed 7 years ago, when the unemployment rate was upwards of 10%, are persons of low education and low skill, you cannot expect them to have gotten jobs as chemical engineers. The jobs can only match the skills of the labor force. And what we have is a largely low-skilled labor force. Something like over 80% of the labor force are unskilled and lack training, even on-the-job training, and left school before they completed. Many of them left school before they completed a secondary education. So it is unrealistic to think that those persons are going to get jobs that are high productivity and high paying. So the increase in employment can only match the labor force that is being employed.
Hear you on that. Hold the point for me, Dr. King. Coming to you after this. This is CVM TV Lead Story, having a practical discussion about what the latest labor force data published by Statin really means.
The Ministry of National Security presents Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 from 9 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. at the AC Marriott Hotel under the theme Stay Safe in Cyberspace. Join leading experts and professionals to advance cybersecurity practices and build a safer cyberspace for all. Gain the knowledge and tools to address emerging threats in the digital world. To register and for more details, visit mns.gov.jm. That's the Cyber Smart Conference 2025, February 11 to 12 at the AC Marriott Hotel. See you there!
Pride is on the line. The Sunshine Girls have already secured the Margaret Bedford Trophy. Now the focus is on sweeping the Spar Proteas. But the ladies from South Africa want to restore pride to their nation. The two clash for the third and final match of the series at the National Indoor Sports Centre, Saturday, January 25. And it's live on CVM TV. Don't miss the exciting finale between the Sunshine Girls and the Spar Proteas of South Africa in Game 3 of the Margaret Bedford Sunshine Series, live on CVM TV, Saturday, January 25, starting at 6 p.m.
Sunshine Series, brought to you by KFC, Ray and Nephew, Chris and Charles.
No more fear of missing out. CVM TV News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Welcome back to CVM TV Lead Stories, the program looking at the latest labor force numbers published by the Statistical Institute of Jamaica, showing unemployment across the board at a record low rate of 3.5%. I have the Executive Director of Capri, Dr. Damien King, with me. Damien, here's a question then. If it is that the unemployment rate is so low, and you hear employers of all sizes lamenting really that they can't find labor to fill certain positions. You hear the bigger manufacturers, certainly the PSOJ people saying last year that they wanted to do some expansion. With Cinco, Mafood, saying he wanted to expand, but he had to put the plans on hold because he did not have enough people to train up to get the expansion going. If so many people who want a job have a job and the unemployment rate is so low, one would think that that would mean that there'd be competitiveness even for people with the lowest level of skills within the job market. Why then have wages been so resistant to the greater demand for labor at all levels?
You know, one of the things that you do in my business is that whenever you hear anybody quote alleged fact, you ask, what is your evidence for that? So you have just said that the wage rates are resistant to increases. I would ask you, what is the source of your information that wage rates are rising?
And I'd say to you that when in the cut and thrust of the debate between the opposition and the government, you see it happening on a Tuesday afternoon and on a Friday morning in the upper house and the lower house. The claim from the opposition, which I've not seen rebutted in a wholesome manner by the government, is that yes, people are working, but the wages that they're getting, it can barely cover their expenses. So people are working, yes, but it's an army of the working poor that we effectively have. That's the basis of the comment.
Okay, so let me say two things. First of all, however low, if people are getting a low wage, that largely reflects the fact that over the course of generations, our educational system has failed to create a highly skilled and highly educated labor force. And people cannot get a pay that is out of alignment with the productivity that comes from the education and training that they have had. So part of what we are seeing now is a reflection of the failures of the education system that we have had since independence. And that is a fact when you look at the skill levels of the labor force, which Statin also documents and measures in its quarterly publications. The second point to make is that however low you think the wage is, it is an infinite improvement over being unemployed.
Yes.
Where your wage by definition is zero.
Yes.
So I think while it is valid, while it is true to say that the wages are low and people are struggling, I mean, the fact that the unemployment rate is 3.2% does not mean that huge swaths of the society are not struggling economically. But you still have to appreciate the fact that you could not have had high expectations with employment of persons who are largely unskilled, and it is still an improvement over being unemployed.
Yeah, in a society.
And in addition to that, I would have to say, so we don't have in Jamaica a reliable index of wage levels. Statin used to collect and publish one, which they discontinued about 10 years ago. So we actually don't have an objective way of knowing what is happening to wage levels. But there was at least anecdotal evidence from talking to the same business people and employers that wages are beginning to rise. And we have noticed that ourselves in our work at Capri.
Yeah. In a society like ours, Dr. King, Damien, with a labor force outfitted with skills at the level that the people in our labor force are, who is responsible for upskilling that labor force? Is that an individual pursuit, or is it that conditions are created making upskilling an imperative to survive?
You know, there's a rule of thumb that it's useful to use in matters like this, that if you observe a phenomenon that applies to a small minority of a group, then you blame the individuals for that. Corollary of that is that if you observe a phenomenon that applies to the majority of the members of the group, then there's an overarching explanation and the corresponding need for overarching blame. And if we have a largely unskilled and uneducated labor force, then we have no choice but to hold our governments since independence for that poor performance of the educational system.
Yeah, and the reason I ask that is because it bothers me as a public commentator to hear governments lament about how unskilled the labor force is, and I'm saying, but you have charge of policy. Is it that individuals are just magically upskilled themselves? Is it that you have no role to play in the labor force lifting itself up to higher levels where you can squeeze higher levels of productivity out of it? So that's the basis. That was the basis for the question.
Absolutely. And there are international comparisons that are available, which shows that for corresponding years of schooling, the Jamaican labor force does not perform. The Jamaican students and the perform as well as our peer countries.
Hear you on that. Thank you for your time this evening. Always a pleasure. And I'm sure my listeners got good value for your presence this evening. All the best.
Thanks, George. All the best to you too.
Good. Damien King there. He's the executive director of Capri, talking about the latest labor numbers. And as we said, we asked Damien to volunteer his time when we want to get a sober look, a dispassionate look at what the data is really saying. And people should understand, a 3.5% unemployment rate does not mean people are rich. It does not. It means that of all the people looking for a job and able to hold a job, 3.5% of those do not have a job. The wages are a different thing. And as he said, and I'm agreeing 100%, low wage is better than no wage. Every time of the week, it's better to be living hand to mouth than not to be having anything to put in your hand to lift your mouth in the first instance. But we still aspire for better, and that's why we do the work. That's why all of us are doing the work, because we want to do more than live hand to mouth. We want to do more than to survive. We want to thrive, and we want to do more than just putting food on the table. You want to be able to save. You want to be able to invest. You want to be able to live well. That's the human ambition. Anyway, that's my time. Curlin Brown has eased into her chair, and she's ready, sitting by, to present the news at 7.
News is on YouTube. Get up-to-date news, sports, and business content at CVM TV News anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Pride is on the line. The Sunshine Girls have already secured the Margaret Bedford Trophy. Now the focus is on sweeping the Spar Proteas. But the ladies from South Africa want to restore pride to their nation. The two clash for the third and final match of the series at the National Indoor Sports Centre, Saturday, January 25. And it's live on CVM TV. Don't miss the exciting finale between the Sunshine Girls and the Spar Proteas of
Monday Match Night. Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 p.m. with a rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Are you really going to miss this? Prove you're not that guy. Every step counts. Sign up now. The time by Sagicor Sigma run is
7 o'clock.
in CVM News at 7. 12-year-old dead, mother hospitalized after Dunrobin shooting. Senate approves tougher penalties for environmental offenses. Spanish Town back in business after mayhem in Old Capital. In the business report, UKJA partner for bridge renewal. And in sports, Sunshine Girls go for series sweep against South Africa on Saturday.
From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. It's a Friday, the 24th day of January 2025. I'm Curlin Brown. Thanks so much for joining us. A St. Andrew family's routine Friday morning commute was transformed to a scene of chaos and tragedy after gunmen opened fire on their vehicle. Their 12-year-old son lost his life in what's been described as a senseless act of violence, which also left his mother battling for her life. To tell us more, here's Chantae McNeil.
Now it's business here as usual, here at the intersection of Lindsay Crescent and Dunrobin Avenue. However, earlier today, tragedy unfolded in this very location. Police reports are that sometime after 7 Friday morning, a mother was driving her motor vehicle along the roadway with her sons, including a 12-year-old boy, when they were ambushed by gunmen who opened fire on the vehicle. Commanding officer for the St. Andrew North Division shared the details on the incident.
A Mercedes-Benz was driving along the roadway when it stopped at the intersection. A motorcycle drove up with 2 men on scene. The pillion pulled a firearm and pointed it at the vehicle and opened gunfire. When the shooting stopped, it was discovered that 2 persons in this vehicle were injured, to include 12-year-old who was later pronounced dead at the University of the West Indies Hospital, and his mother was also injured, rushed into surgery.
The police further confirmed that the older son, who was left unharmed, drove the injured family to the hospital in the same vehicle. We spoke with parents and teachers at the Dunrobin Christian Academy, the institution across from the scene of the incident. One parent shared she has been left traumatized.
The little boy was coming, and I had to tell him to run, because right now my hair is coming like it is not mine. Because when I see the experience of everything, I said, God, this is why we have to pray morning time and ask us to cover the children them. It's not easy.
A teacher also weighed in.
From morning, I've been down. There's no way to really describe how I'm feeling right now, seeing that I'm working with children and a child was in the heart of what took place. So it's just a sad situation.
Police are still working to determine a motive for the attack and are urging anyone with information to come forward by contacting the Constant Spring Police Station. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
The Senate has passed amendments to the Natural Resources Conservation Authority Act and the Wildlife Protection Act, aimed at protecting Jamaica's environment by introducing tougher penalties for violations and enhanced enforcement measures. Now, while the government highlights its environmental record, the opposition is driving home the need for education and public engagement. Ramon Gordon reports.
The Senate on Friday passed 2 major bills aimed at protecting Jamaica's environment. The move comes after a series of controversies, the most significant of which culminated last year in the resignation of NEPA Chairman Weldon Madden over the decision to drop an oil spill case against Tradewinds Citrus Limited. The changes include maximum fines of up to $5 million for corporate and individual offenders, with cases now being tried in the circuit court.
Mr. President, it is anticipated that these increased penalties, together with the improved enforcement mechanisms, will ensure more effective management and protection of our environment.
The NEPA controversy last year saw the government coming under fire from groups like the Jamaica Environment Trust, which had and continue to be critical of state authorities for their enforcement of environment law. But the JLP is countering bad press on the environment, with Senator Abke Fitz-Henley pointing to achievements.
Indeed, sir, I believe it's a fair statement to say that no administration in the history of independent Jamaica can test or has a more credible track record at protecting the environment than the administration of Prime Minister Andrew. They have a grasp of the issues, and they understand that for the sake of current and future generations, an investment in environmental protection is one that we cannot afford not to make.
But opposition senators were unconvinced. Senator Lambert Brown raised concerns about enforcement and criticized what he called inconsistent priorities.
We are concerned about the secret deal by NEPA with a private sector company, read the pollution in the recovery. We are concerned about the denigration of the Falmouth mangroves. Let us stop playing politics where politics is not necessary.
Senators called for an extensive public education campaign to ensure citizens understand the new laws and their responsibilities. The government assured the Senate that public education would be prioritized, highlighting NEPA's river wardens as key players in monitoring and community engagement.
And we do continue to protect mangroves. We've protected approximately 45 hectares of mangroves. We have recently approved in Cabinet the National Mangrove and Swamp Management Plan because we recognize their importance to coastal retention.
The bills passed without amendment. While the new laws promise tougher penalties and stronger protections, their real impact, critics say, depends on effective enforcement and public engagement. Roman Gordon for CVM News.
And to a story that's been hot, Thursday's tense situation from a series of criminal activities in the old capital. Well, we were told it's now business as usual, so our reporter Trisha Gay Kelly revisited the town for this first-hand update.
It's Friday and we're back in the old capital, but Spanish Town is no longer a ghost town, it's a bustling town. And I must say, if you visited the parish today and had no prior knowledge about what happened on Thursday or even Wednesday, then you surely wouldn't know now. The police are still active in the town as commerce seems to be returning. The JUTC bus park has been reopened to the public. Likewise, the other public passenger vehicle parks in the area. For Mr. Biggs, who was still working on Thursday, Friday has seen an improvement.
Well, today's calm and everything's okay so far. You know, no problem. Everybody's getting move around as usual, and everything so far.
Were you out here yesterday?
Yesterday also.
Did you get many customers?
Same here. Everyone was, you know, it was a little bit slow, but everything was okay.
Unlike this driver, however, there are other self-employed individuals who could not stay at work on Thursday and are now trying to make up for their losses.
You know, the bills have to pay, so that's why I run the race and come out back today.
So yesterday, why didn't you come out?
Well, I just come out and look and see if the business is okay, and then I return home back.
All right, so why didn't you stay yesterday?
I tell myself I didn't stay. I tell myself I'm not safe. And to the way I see the place look.
All right, so you're staying all day today or you're going back home early today?
I'm going back home early.
And speaking of home, staff and students were working and learning from the safety of their living rooms, though the ministry had advised that face-to-face classes could resume. Upon visiting a few schools in and around Spanish Town, we were informed that their gates would remain closed until Monday. But with no students at school, vendors' sales plummeted.
We do tea and sandwich. As for heat, it's not bad since morning. But for the slow speed of selling patty and those things. And the bulk of our customers is the children. And we're really disappointed this morning. To be honest, we're disappointed.
Most, if not all, stakeholders remain hopeful things will be fully restored by the weekend. Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
And Prime Minister Andrew Holness has addressed the ongoing situation in Spanish Town, acknowledging the efforts of the police to restore calm. However, he warns gang activity continues to pose a serious threat to public order, security and commerce.
We are satisfied that the police have made the necessary allocation of manpower and other resources to bring the situation in Spanish Town under control and to return calm to the town. Nevertheless, the intelligence briefing is that the gangs continue to pose a clear and present danger and a real threat to public order, citizen security, public services, and commerce in Spanish Town. For decades, the gangs have captured Spanish Town, almost all elements of life in Spanish Town. The government of Jamaica is paying close attention to this situation, not just from a security perspective, but from a developmental perspective. The government is investing several $1 billion into critical infrastructure in Spanish Town, starting with the investment in a new wing at the Spanish Town Hospital, over $2 billion investment, and the building of a new police divisional headquarters in Spanish Town.
So with the situation in Spanish Town not only threatening safety but also damaging the economy, we go back to our reporter Trisha Gay Kelly for more.
In just a day, one lockdown can cost businesses millions. And with recent unrest in Spanish Town, St. Catherine, it's a poor outlook on their local economy. President of the St. Catherine Chamber of Commerce, Dennis Robotham, says the disruption had significant impact on the town and caused business operators great financial loss.
Well, I put it in the billions because as the mayor was saying, Spanish Town, the market district, was completely shut down, totally. Commercial activity ceased.
Economist Dr. Chris Stokes explained that such incidents could potentially push stakeholders away.
You will have folks asking themselves, do I want to have my business here? Do I live here and have my business somewhere else? Or do I just move out of the community? All of these things have material impact. The decisions that are made individually can have a material impact on the collective.
But the issue is bigger than local impact. He said international affairs can also be affected as continued unrest can sever overseas relationships.
A potential investor in Beijing, in Lausanne, in London, in New York, in Dallas, saying, oh, violence in Jamaica, murders in Jamaica, that fits the story, that's on brand. And that will just add to the resistance that we see internationally for foreign direct investment, which is an important part of Jamaica's growth strategy. So
for now, however, the St. Catherine Chamber of Commerce president is encouraging citizens to stand for their rights and fight for their businesses.
Most of our members and most people in that area are veterans. They understand the system. They will come out. The fact is that the consumer might not, but they will trickle in as time goes on. There is going to be adequate patrolling, boots on the ground, that sort of thing, which will enhance the security aspect of it. So I would say to them, come out and let us move the thing, and let's not be scared, because we can't allow a couple of people to call us into our corner. We have got to stand up and move to another level.
Trisha Gay Kelly, CVM News.
Lots more to come here on CVM News at 7. Please stay with us.
For 25 millions, I give it to 25 customers. Switch to Digi, you could win $1 million. Digicel is giving away 25 mil. It's a great time to switch to Digicel. Visit the Digicel store today. Purchase smartphones as low as $10K. Buy a 7-day plan or higher. Get a top-up of $20 US from overseas, or gift the plan for more entries. Any of these could make you a winner. Conditions apply. The 25 for 25 promotion is authorized under Section 58 of the Betting, Gaming and Lotteries Act. Promotion lasts from January 3rd to February 6th. 25 for 25. Better connected. JPS. Aye, my JPS app. The mobile app, brave as I said app. With the mobile app, you feel know you can't flop the app in a happiness. Cause what? My JPS app easy, it and a riddle my life.
and he move. If I want thing me love me JPS app, me I tell you about it in the tune. My JPS app easy, turn a riddle for me light, fi bright and he move. If I want thing me love me JPS app, yeah we fully outside with the crew. JPS, pouring what matters.
Do whatever the crunch you want with KFC's popcorn chicken. Delicious, crispy, irresistible. Now available in hot and spicy. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Thanks so much for staying with us. The People's National Party says it's looking to disrupt the Jamaica Labour Party's dominance in the Northwest St. Elizabeth constituency. Incumbent JLP Member of Parliament J.C. Hutchinson has indicated he will not be contesting the next general election, something the PNP sees as an opportunity for its candidate. Chantae McNeil picks up that report.
Thanks, Nika. The stage is certainly set for what could be one of the most pivotal races in the upcoming general election. The PNP leadership is rallying around Patricia Forrester as their candidate for Northwestern St. Elizabeth, with opposition leader Mark Golding expressing confidence in her ability to deliver change to the constituency. Now I have the details and so much more in this report. Excitement and anticipation are building within the People's National Party PNP as they prepare to contest the Northwestern St. Elizabeth seat in the upcoming general elections. The political dynamics have shifted following confirmation that the Jamaica Labour Party JLP incumbent J.C. Hutchinson will not seek re-election. Opposition leader Mark Golding, speaking on a tour of the parish's 4 constituencies Wednesday, expressed confidence in the PNP's ability to reclaim the seat.
I think we're going to do very well in Region 5. Manchester is very strong, and St. Elizabeth, we have some great candidates. You know, we have Zalika here, Miranda, Norman Scott, who's extremely experienced and very, very anxious to enter Parliament, and a newcomer in Patricia Forrester, Scarlett Forrester, and she has really entered the reference of the politics in a very committed way, and I think she'd be a great representative of the people. So, you know, that's a seat that we haven't won for many, many years, Northwest. But, time come. Yeah, time come.
For the PNP, this is a crucial moment. The PNP's Patricia Forrester, the party's candidate for Northwestern St. Elizabeth, believes her leadership can bring much-needed change to the constituency.
To represent Northwest St. Elizabeth, representing the People's National Party. Time has come for the people to have some change. Time has come for some work to be done in Northwest St. Elizabeth, and I know it is only the People's National Party can get it done.
Forrester faces Andrew Morris, the JLP's candidate recently endorsed by Hutchinson. Despite the JLP's strong hold on the constituency since 1997, the PNP is determined to shift the tide. Golding highlighted several issues he has observed and concerns raised by residents that will be addressed should the PNP win the next election.
But I can tell you that the taxi men are bawling out for help. They said that, between the state of the roads and the various charges that they, suffer for trying to make a living, they're unable to make ends meet, and they're asking us to do something for them. And of course, St. Elizabeth is a strong farming area, and the farmers need help as well. And there's Alpart, which remains closed, and something needs to be done about that. So there's a lot to be done in St. Elizabeth.
Meantime, ongoing issues with flooding in the Santa Cruz area are also pain points for residents. This, PNP caretaker for the St. Elizabeth Northeast, Zulika Jess, says they'll be finding ways to alleviate.
Where the infrastructure has really outgrown that which it was originally designed to accommodate, and so we need a comprehensive overhaul of the drainage system here. We can't keep putting a band-aid over it. What we need is really a comprehensive plan that is going to address the issue once and for all. Because cleaning the drains is one thing, but the truth is the size of the drains are far too small to accommodate the type of runoff that we're seeing now, because we have seen where the town has built out beyond the capacity that it was originally built to accommodate. So we have to have a comprehensive plan, and that is what we're working on here at the constituency level.
The last PNP victory in northwestern St. Elizabeth was in 1993 under former MP Melford Brown. Since then, J.C. Hutchinson has solidified the JLP's hold on the constituency. However, with Hutchinson stepping down and a new energy driving the PNP, the party is optimistic about reclaiming the seat this year. Chantae McNeil, CVM News.
And the opposition has called for a local ban on synthetic coloring red dye number 3, mostly found in foods and drinks. The call comes after the United States Food and Drug Administration prohibited its use in food, drinks, and ingested drugs or medications. Let's get more from Courtney Lewis.
The Food and Drug Administration, FDA, has recently banned the use of red dye 3 in foods. It's a food coloring agent commonly found in some of our favorite processed snacks, drinks, and even medications. But recent animal studies have shown that the synthetic dye, which makes cereals and jello look so enticing, may contain carcinogens, substances capable of causing cancer. It's why the junior opposition spokesperson on health is calling for a local ban on the colorant.
Locally, we'd love for the ministry to come out and to ban that dye here, locally too as well. Because it's going to have a far-reaching impact, because not only the United States will not be accepting products leaving Jamaica to the United States, being exported there, that have this particular dye in it. So we need to now be advising our population, our manufacturers too as well, to move away from using that dye.
The ban on the dye in foods comes decades after its ban in cosmetics. And while there's no evidence the substance causes cancer in humans, the opposition says a local ban is a proactive and protective measure.
Move ahead and be proactive and see how quickly we can get that dye off our market and products using that dye out of our market. That will also protect us from our market being flooded with products that will be banned in the United States, being flooding our markets. And once we already know that these studies exist, that it's carcinogenic in animals, I'm sure most of the population will not be comfortable consuming products that have this particular dye in it.
The FDA has given U.S. manufacturers 3 years to find alternatives or reformulate their products, but won't allow imported foods, drinks, or drugs with the dye. But the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, NCRA, says research on the use of this substance in Jamaica continues.
The National Compliance and Regulatory Authority is aware of the concerns and media reports. We are researching the matter concerning red dye number 3, red dye 40, and we are in contact with various stakeholder groups. As soon as our research is complete, we will advise the general public and specifically our manufacturers and our exporters and importers. We ask for your patience at this time to allow the regulatory processes to be completed.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
More in a moment.
Join my private room. Only $1,000 for a grand time.
That I know me. We never said that. But who go and believe me?
That is correct. $4,350,000. Yes, go ahead. $4 million? I never approved that.
Yes, me go doctor tomorrow. So me have to get the money today, no longer. Then no me face that. We never make no record or beg nobody no money.
Deepfakes are AI-generated images and videos made to look and sound like people we know and trust. They're used to spread misinformation, destroy reputations, and are used to commit fraud and scams. Don't fall victim to deepfakes. Protect yourself. For more information, visit broadcastingcommission.org or scan the QR code on screen.
Pride is on the line. The Sunshine Girls have already secured the Margaret Bedford Trophy. Now the focus is on sweeping the Spar Proteas. But the ladies from South Africa want to restore pride to their nation. The two clash for the third and final match of the series at the National Indoor Sports Centre, Saturday, January 25. And it's live on CVM TV. Don't miss the exciting finale between the Sunshine Girls and the Spar Proteas of South Africa in Game 3 of the Margaret Bedford Sunshine Series, live on CVM TV, Saturday, January 25, starting at 6 p.m.
Sunshine Series, brought to you by KFC, Ray and Nephew, Chris and Charles.
Welcome back. So it takes confidence to introduce customers to something new and persistence to win them over with traditional flavors. So when there's a steady demand, it's encouragement to not only hone your products, but seek out the necessary stamps of approval. While pursuing her interest and her passion, Princess McClarty says she stays reliable. In the process, people become head over heels about her Sister Love fermented sips.
Most artists, when I meet them on certain grounds, they go with the garlic wine.
Hold on there, stick a pin, because me know that the ganja not totally legal.
Oh, not totally legal.
But
this is one of the king. Guinean, yeah, all of them are king, but this one, well, for the ganja wine, what I do most of the time, I did wanted you to come here to see some large ganja plants here. But they are in some little pots coming up. What I do, I grow the ganja.
You're allowed?
Here, yes, right here. Well, I allow myself. Grow them here. When they reach to a height, they have the little buds. Some of them, which are not successful, I would root them up. Wash them. Do not take off the roots. I dry them along with the little buds. Wash them, dry them. Keep them for a little while till they quail a bit. And what I would do is boil everything. From the root to the leaf, everything. Boil everything and ferment. So the ganja wine is properly ferment. And if you drink a certain portion, yes, you can drink it at home and go to sleep. Relax your nerve.
Which of these wines do you take? Because you look like...
Oh, I drink all of them. All of them I drink. I stick to the garlic too, yes, very good. Cleans you out. I stick to the moringa and the Guinea hen weed, yes. And we have the lignum vitae.
Lignum vitae?
Yes.
Wow.
This one is the bark, only the bark of the tree. I do not vandalize. I know it's our national flower, our national tree. But now and again, I'll pick some leaf and get some chips and make a nice wine. Very healthy. It has a very bitterish taste for our blood, and it's good for circulation.
So your cost, how about your cost? You think your cost reasonable?
For my work, yes, reasonable, because
you don't have to tell me the price, but
yes,
it's reasonable for the work.
Yes.
Do you work alone?
Yes, totally. Yes, work alone. Only like if I have to have difficulty in getting.
You get help for
the harvest.
But you one go through and
alone and mighty.
You and God
go alone with it. And I said, sometimes I have my ups and downs and the struggles and difficult times. Yes, challenges comes time to time. Feel discouraged at times, but although discouragement comes, there is a force, something down inside of me
telling you to go on. Me to go on.
Because one day, story will come to bump. Like today.
Yes.
I'm giving God thanks for today.
traditional things we're dealing with, right?
Yes, and all these wines, everyone that comes to my table at the pop-up shows have their preference and their taste.
You have tourists who come and like this?
Oh, yes. Talk about creative artwork downtown Kingston, Sister Caroline. Wow. The tourists, what they always, any ganja? White tourists, they love the ganja wine. They are acquainted with the Guinean weed. They do their readings, maybe I think probably more than Jamaican people. Because when they see the wine, it seems like they know it already. They know about the moringa. They will take up the moringa wine or they will take up some teas. So what I do, I have the teas in bulk.
But you're not in the supermarkets or the stores or so?
Get in there hopefully early, middle or end of this year, 2025. I'm
working on it.
Working on getting the garlic. The very most unusual, tasty, benefit one, the garlic wine. I'll be working on it, toe-to-toe, Bureau Standard, SRC. It will go through.
It will go through.
It will go through. And what I would like to say, which I can never forget, this is a congratulations speech from Bureau Standard.
And it says, congratulations to Princess McClarty on the production of Jamaica's first bamboo wine. The new addition of bamboo wine to the Sister Love brand is truly something that we are proud of. I think I better take a pause here and tell you to join us next week for more on traditional flavors as we look into this bamboo wine. I'm Curlin Brown for Traditional Flavors, CVM News.
And we'll continue right after this.
Anything for the taste of a KFC, big deal. The time by KFC is
7:30.
Hey you know all the people in your business?
You should take advantage of CVM TV's unbeatable small business advertising package. Trust me.
And get your goods and services in front of your customers today.
For $150,000, you get a high-quality professional commercial.
Plus 20 prime-time commercial spots.
That's massive exposure at a fraction of the cost.
Including on the #1 morning show in Jamaica, Sunrise.
So don't wait. Call us on 658-208-5377 and see your business goals happen right here on CVM Television.
It's time for our business report with Joel Crosskill.
Lots to share with you in the business report today, emerging from the signing of the framework agreement for UK companies to supply and install 55 bridges across Jamaica under the Accelerated Bridge Renewal Programme. In doing so, the United Kingdom contributes significantly to Jamaica's infrastructural development through a transformative initiative financed by the UK government's export credit agency UK Export Finance, UKEF. British High Commissioner to Jamaica Judith Slater, who hosted the signing ceremony, confirmed an overarching commitment to further connecting UK-Jamaica relations across a span of mutually beneficial endeavours.
Facilitating collaboration between global contractors and local suppliers, UKEF is a testament to the UK's commitment to being a reliable partner for progress. So this Accelerated Bridge Renewal project is a multi-million dollar project. It's probably billions in Jamaican dollars.